Imagine a world where nighttime never truly ends, a world where the streets of New York remain drowned in gaslight, flicker, and shadow, where darkness still dictates the rhythm of human life. Now imagine that this alternate world exists for one simple reason. Thomas Edison never invented the light bulb. Before we explore that startling possibility, we must first understand the man who changed the world with a single glowing idea. Thomas Alva Edison, born in 1847, was not just an inventor, he was a force of nature. Unstoppable curiosity, endless experiments, and a mind that refused to rest. Some called him a genius, others called him relentless. But history remembers him as the man who turned night into day. His light bulb was more than a device. It was a revolution, a spark that transformed civilization. Without that invention, humanity might still be living in the dim glow of lamps fueled by fire and fumes. And today, we're going to explore exactly what that world would look like. Before we jump in, take one quick second to subscribe to the channel. It helps bring more stories like this to people who love history and what-if worlds as much as you do. Now, let's step into a timeline where Edison never built the light bulb, and darkness becomes one of the greatest forces shaping human destiny. In this alternate world, everything begins with a single failure. Imagine Edison in his cluttered laboratory, surrounded by wires, glass, and sketches. He attempts filament after filament, experiment after experiment, but each bulb burns out or shatters. Investors grow impatient. Newspapers mock the idea, and eventually, Edison gives up. The project dies. The incandescent dream fades into obscurity. Without Edison's breakthrough, gas lamps remain the primary source of artificial light. Streets stay dim, flickering with flames that struggle against the wind. Homes continue to smell of burning oil. Factories close early because operating at night is too dangerous. And cities, instead of glowing across skylines, appear as dark silhouettes beneath the moon. The effect on human life is immediate. People continue living according to the rising and setting of the sun. Productivity stays limited. Nighttime remains something to be feared rather than used. Crime stays higher because dim streets hide danger. Fire accidents become common because open flames fill every building. Insurance companies charge enormous premiums due to constant risk. The modern 24-hour economy, the idea that cities never sleep, simply never emerges. This change ripples into technology. Without widespread electric lighting, electricity itself develops much more slowly. Companies have no urgent reason to build power stations or electrical grids. Engineers and investors see no clear profit in electrifying households. Even inventions like electric appliances, radios, and early computers suffer enormous delays. The United States never becomes the global leader in electrified innovation during the early 20th century. Nations develop unevenly, progress stalls, and the world falls decades behind. The cultural impact is even more profound. Think of sports played under stadium lights, families gathering under bright bulbs, students studying late into the evening. None of these things become common. Entertainment shifts dramatically. Movie theaters struggle. Shops close early. Nightlife barely exists, and cities like Las Vegas never become the glowing icons we know today. New York, often called the city that never sleeps, instead becomes a city that sleeps early. But the biggest consequence of all appears in the scientific world. Without Edison's light bulb driving demand for electricity, innovators like Nikola Tesla face greater resistance. AC power systems develop slowly and inconsistently. Power distribution becomes a niche technology instead of the engine of civilization. Even future tech giants, companies built on computing, electronics, and energy get delayed or never form at all. The digital age struggles to ignite because the electric age never fully begins. As the world adapts to a life without electric light, global politics begin to shift in unexpected ways. Nations that rely on heavy industry fall behind because their factories cannot operate around the clock. Production slows, costs rise, and economies shrink. The United States, once destined to become a beacon of innovation, loses its early technological advantage. Countries with abundant coal and gas resources grow more powerful, because the world continues depending on flame-based light and outdated energy systems. Environmental pollution worsens as millions of lamps burn fuel day and night, releasing smoke into the air and carbon into the atmosphere at a much higher rate than in our timeline. Cities choke under layers of soot and haze, turning skylines into dark silhouettes even during the day. Scientific research slows dramatically. Laboratories that once stayed bright through the night now face strict time limits. Experiments run shorter, discoveries take longer, and progress crawls. Medical breakthroughs are delayed for years. Surgeons operate only during daylight, limiting emergency care during nighttime hours. Rural hospitals and small-town clinics rely solely on gas lamps, putting both patients and doctors at greater risk. Simple nighttime procedures become dangerous, and complex ones are often postponed until sunrise. Infant mortality rises, infection rates climb, and healthcare struggles to move forward. Transportation looks different too. Without widespread electricity, subways, trams, and electric trains evolve at a much slower pace. Automobile headlights remain weak and unreliable, limiting safe travel at night. Highways stay dark and nearly deserted after sunset. Air travel evolves more cautiously, because airports lack the powerful lighting needed for night landings. The world becomes smaller, slower, and far less connected after dark. International travel remains a luxury for the wealthy, and even they avoid flying when the sun goes down. The entertainment industry transforms into something almost unrecognizable. Broadway theaters rely on massive gas lighting systems, making performances expensive and risky. Film studios struggle to design safe sets, delaying the development of Hollywood as we know it. Television arrives decades late, and streaming platforms never have a chance to dominate because computers and home electronics evolve far more slowly. Sports played at night become rare, limiting events that once brought millions together. The famous energy of American Friday nights fades into early evenings spent indoors, with families gathering around dim lamps and stories replacing screens. Education also changes. Students can't study late into the night, and libraries close early. Learning becomes slower and less accessible. The pace of progress in science, engineering, and medicine weakens with every passing decade. A society that once raced toward innovation begins to drag its feet, held back by the simple absence of reliable light. Meanwhile, crime grows more complicated to control. Police departments struggle to patrol poorly lit streets. Neighborhoods become significantly more dangerous after sunset. Businesses pay enormous sums for security, and most communities retreat indoors long before night falls. Social life becomes limited, nightlife barely exists, and human behavior shifts toward earlier routines. The psychological impact is profound. Darkness no longer represents rest. It represents uncertainty, caution, even fear. But perhaps the most dramatic effect of all lies in the world's technological future. Without electric light pushing humanity toward a revolution in power, computing never accelerates at the pace we recognize. Early prototypes of computers remain bulky, rare, and underfunded. The digital age emerges slowly, hesitantly. The internet arrives decades later, changing the entire timeline of communication. Smartphones, satellites, AI, space exploration all delayed. Human beings become trapped in a slower world, not because of a lack of intelligence, but because one missing invention interrupted the chain reaction that led to modern life. And yet, this dark alternate world carries a strange beauty. Cities glow softly with warm amber light. Nights are calmer, quieter, slower. People spend more time together, talking instead of scrolling. Children play outside until the last hint of sunset. The world moves at a gentler pace, but behind that charm lies a cost. Fewer opportunities, slower growth, more danger, and a world that never reaches its full potential. One small invention, just a glowing filament inside a glass bulb, proved to be the switch that turned on the modern age. This is the power of a single idea. This is the influence of one determined mind, and this is the world that might have been if Thomas Edison never invented the light bulb. If you found this journey into an alternate history fascinating, make sure you subscribe for more stories that reimagine our past and future. Your support helps bring these worlds to life, one what if at a time.